A-T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the good old-fashioned dislike, brought to you by the college football playoff. And I know there are a lot of feelings out there. We want to give you an opportunity to share in the comments. I'll read those. As long as they're on the up and up, we want to be kind. We want to have a lot of fun. We want to share our thoughts on what's going on in the college football world. The Final Four has been released, and so the party has begun on all of that good stuff. And so, I guess the first thing I got a question is share your Final Four. Put it in the comments. Let us know who you thought should get the Final Four. Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? Are the rankings correct? Are in the same location? So just as a start, for those of you that may not be following it closely, the Michigan Wolverines are your number one. They're your Big Ten champions. They're undefeated. They beat Ohio State in the game week before yesterday. They beat Ohio State, put them out, beat Iowa last night. I think they goosed them, no score, put the shutout on the Iowa Hawkeyes. And now they're the number one seed, and they will be facing off with the 4 seed, the 12-1 Alabama Crimson Tide, 9-0 in the Southeastern Conference, beating the number one team in Atlanta in their backyard, beating the Georgia Bulldogs in Atlanta again. And that gets the Crimson Tide in over what many people, the concern is Roll Tide and Mahaley for sure. Florida State, a lot of people thought that they deserved to be in. And so there's a lot of consternation about that. But we'll find out because Georgia and Florida State will play. And if Florida State beats Georgia, then I think you have to give some love and some credit there. Be sure to drop in our comments your Final Four, who you think should be in there. Did the committee get it right? Would Florida State beat Alabama today? If they play today or tomorrow, are they going to get the W over the Crimson Tide? So a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things going on. Give us a like, give us a share. This is your time, right? I'm not going to blast you. I'm not going to defend the Crimson Tide. I am an Alabama fan. Put it all out there. I want to give you a chance to share what you're thinking, how you're feeling. What do you think about officiating? I think all of us could say that could possibly be better, rocking and rolling. So I got one comment. Mahaley Clark says Roll Tide, and I'm right there with you. I think the Crimson Tide is one of the 4 best football teams, and that's really what the committee's supposed to do, right? The 4 best. Tell me why they're not the 4 best, or agree, whatever you think. Give me the like, the crying emoji, whatever. Let's just get all the emotions out. This is your chance to share. Be sure to comment who you're rolling with. Who's going to win it all? Who's your national championship favorite to win the whole thing? I think you've got a tremendous opportunity. I think Michigan's a good football team. I think that they play a brand of football that's complementary to what they want to do. They've got enough defense. They run the ball well. They've not fared well against the SEC. So what do you think Michigan's chances are? Do you think they have a chance to win the Natty? Overcoming a lot of obstacles, I would say they have put in themselves in their own way. I don't feel sorry for them at all. That's for sure. Having to be without Harbaugh. Texas gets in. They're the number 3 seed. Number 3, Texas, the Big 12 champs. They have 1 loss to Oklahoma. They have the big win over the Crimson Tide of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, double-digit win there against the Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa. You have the Washington Huskies, 2-time winners over over Oregon Ducks, the committee's darling from what we hear. They just gushed about Bo Nix. Grant says on TikTok he would hate to be an FSU fan right now. Absolutely, man. You got to feel for them. It's a difficult spot to be in. And Jordan Travis is an amazing player. And it's just hard to overcome that. You know, they're a building program. They're going to be great. It's going to motivate them. I would hate to play Florida State next year. I think Georgia will handle them. It may be a little closer than you think. They'll be playing with some emotion. And it always comes down to these opt-outs. Haley Clark says Alabama is good. We started out rough, but if we can beat Georgia, then we can be good against Michigan. And I agree. I mean, I don't know that Georgia even got Alabama's A game. I think everybody was just kind of beat up for Georgia. Not making excuses. Alabama was beat up at this point. If you're not beat up, have you even been playing football? And how's that schedule look? Not so. So yeah, tell me who you got. And then, of course, I mentioned Washington had the 2 wins over Oregon. They beat the Pac-12, and they finished undefeated. They got Michael Penix Jr. Throwing it around out there. They can run the ball. They can stop the run, and they can throw the ball. 3 out of 4 ain't bad for sure. Yeah, be sure to leave in the comments. Like I said, what you think, how you feeling, who's going to take this thing, who's your prohibitive national championship favorite, and who's going to win that Rose Bowl. Eric Cheney chimes in on Facebook. Saban is getting his final national championship, securing the undisputed greatest coach ever, and going to his new beach house in Florida. He will then watch the poor coach who has to follow him. Yeah, I'm not jealous of that guy, Eric, in the least. That's not going to be fun. But I agree. I think if Nick wins it this year, you gotta almost have to expect it. I will say the man loves to coach. The man loves to coach. Doris Creasy, hey, Mom. Mom says if there's QB hadn't got hurt, Florida State would have been in most likely, but they are not one of the top 4. And that's true. You got to take injuries into account. I think a lot of people don't realize that is actually in the college football playoff rules, that you can take injuries. And unfortunately, and I say this for all of college football, it is a quarterback-driven sport. And if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have much of an offense. I think Florida State should be commended for what they were able to get done against Louisville. But you just tell the offense wasn't the same. And maybe a month changes it. They get their backup quarterback. They played with a true freshman last night and did valiantly. Stacy Burr, hey, Stacy, how are you? And yeah, Ray, Roll Tide for sure. Roll Tide. Stacy said, Roll Tide. We love Alabama. Yep. I think you got a good football team there. Jalen Milroe has been interesting. And then we live in a society where there is no room for process anymore. Like if you're not great now, you've got a small window to get great. And, Jalen's definitely gotten better. He's definitely got things he could work on. But it's hard not to appreciate his effect on the team and leadership. So you guys that are tuning in, we're getting comments now. First question is, did they get it right? Do you think these are the 4 best? I certainly think Georgia has an argument. You lost yesterday. I think Kirby is correct. I think that Georgia has an argument to be one of the top 4. And I think that, it's just hard to find a spot for them. And I think, I agree. I think if Jordan Travis doesn't get hurt, they handle Florida. Ray Reynolds says Georgia over Florida State. And I think most people would have to agree. That's what I always ask, about the Florida State thing. Like, would you, if your life savings depended on it, of course, I'm not a betting man. I'm not encouraging anyone to bet, but if your life savings was on it and you had to take Florida State or Alabama in a football game right now, who are you going to take? Who's the safest decision of winning that football game? And, I think most people, you're not in that situation. So you could obviously go, oh, I think such and such. And that's why they play the game for sure. but I think you have to lean towards the Crimson Tide as the safer bet in a game right now. And we'll see. They're going to play the games, and I for one am head to head. I wish they would have taken the computers and let the computers decide who the Final Four of. Of course, I was not an opponent of the BCS. I think they said the BCS would have been Michigan, Washington, Alabama, and Florida State would have been the BCS top four. Ray Reynolds says Ohio State and Georgia had a better argument than Florida State. There you go. That's certainly a hot take. I tend to be in agreement with the Georgia team. I mean, they've won how many games in a row? Gave Alabama all they could handle, and played one of the hottest teams in college football to a 3-point loss in Atlanta. But yeah, next year we'll have a 12-team playoff. Doris Creasy agrees with Ray Reynolds on who would win between Ohio State and Georgia for sure. Let's see. So who's in the national championship, you guys? Who's winning? Who's winning Michigan, Alabama, and the Rose Bowl? Oh my goodness, let me tell you. Now that is a dream come true matchup. I just love. I really like Michigan. I like Alabama. Michigan's my favorite Big Ten team. I love the Rose Bowl. It's my favorite bowl. Always has been. And man, it's just a matchup I would love to go see live if that were to happen. Ray Reynolds says he predicts the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Texas Longhorns in a matchup. And boy, howdy would that be one, because it would be in Houston, Texas, if that happens. The Crimson Tide of Texas battling it out in Houston, man. It'd be Longhorns everywhere, and rightfully so. So Ray Reynolds got our first prediction for the national championship, Alabama versus Texas. What about the officials? This is a safe space, man. You can blast, the officiating, the reffing. You can share your true feelings and disgust right here in the comments. And as long as they're clean and kind and especially funny, they're going to get on the shown on the Facebook and YouTube. Ars Creasy says, woohoo, Alabama and Texas in Houston. And this, I'm sure it will be talked about to death between now and then. This is just an opportunity to kind of share your feelings on the situation for sure. Letting us know there's a great bit of outcry there. And the initial rankings were released. I was in church, but I got a notification, or I wasn't in church. We were in a meeting, and I got a notification on the phone that the Tide was in. Right. Keep those predictions coming. Tell me. Over on TikTok, we got another Texas versus Alabama rematch for the national championship. It would be a game. I think it would be a good bit different. I'm not saying Texas can't win. Not really making a call right now. Ray Reynolds said no matter what happened, the committee was going to be hated, and he feels like they got it right. And there's arguments to be had. It's one of those situations, I don't know. I mean, from a TV rating standpoint, they got exactly what they wanted, right? TV ratings. These are helmet football games. That means, you got 3 of the 4 biggest programs in the sport. You got Washington representing the Northwest. You got Michigan representing the Northeast. You got the Southeast represented. You got the Southwest region. A lot of eyeballs. And so, that has to play into it somewhat. You're trying to get eyeballs on the product. And so once again, we're taking comments. Leave your, they got it right. Here's how they got it wrong. I'll throw up anybody's, as long as it's kind, not mean to anyone in particular, especially in the comments. I'd love to hear what you got. I'd love to hear your arguments of who should have been in, shouldn't have been, right? Who's going to win? How excited are you? Um, so this is a time to share. It's a safe space for people to share their thoughts and opinions on college football or football in general. We'll take all of them. Just give me what you got. Who is your eventual national champions? Jeff Tabener, representing West Virginia, good friend out there. Always good to join the shows, the lives on Facebook. He believes the college football committee got it right. He says it's tough for Florida. I agree. I think anybody, and I think that's what makes it easy, makes it difficult today. You hate to see injury take into account, and people want to make the argument deserving versus the best, and it's supposed to be the best. I think we went with. I don't even know. We went with deserving last year. I don't even know what last year was. I mean, that was just ridiculous, I guess. But yeah, we hate it for Florida State. Over on TikTok, we got the talking about the Eagles. I guess that's sarcastic. The Eagles got smashed today. I thought he was saying they smashed it today, but yeah, Eagles took one on the chin. But that's good in the NFL. If you're going to lose, you're going to lose kind of now because it helps you recalibrate. Ray Reynolds says, will the drama at Michigan make it harder for them to win the college football? He says he thinks so. And Alabama will love being the underdog. Yeah, I don't know how long they'll be the underdog. I know right now it opened at 2-point underdog. I don't know how long that'll last once people start betting. Obviously, we are not promoting betting here. John Horner. That's John Horner. Good friend. Yeah, the Eagles got smashed, but they're usually the one doing the smashing. If you're going to drop one, like I said, now's a good time. It stinks it comes against the 49ers, but could help you in the long run if there's a rematch for sure. Washington is no slouch. Eric Chaney, they beat a top 10 Oregon team twice. You're absolutely right. And anytime you got a quarterback, you can sling it around, as Alabama found out in September, that you got a fighter's chance. Um, I don't know that Ewers, he tore it up yesterday for sure. I don't know that he's had quite the game he had against Alabama again. But Alabama's no stranger to even a subpar player showing up at quarterback and lining them up. Peyton Thorne ran on them, that's for sure. So a guy like Penix, a guy like Ewers, like I said, McCarthy might even show up and give him a hard time. But yeah, it's hard for me to be against the Michigan, Alabama in the Rose Bowl. Man, I love that stuff. Rose Bowl's still one of my favorite bowls. I'd love to go to that one someday. Not sure if I've got the heart or the guts to go see Alabama play out there, but I totally would given the opportunity. So yeah, yeah. I didn't see the opening line on Florida State, Georgia. Thanks, Josh. Yeah, Josh and I, Team Ben and Travis raised 16,000 plus this weekend for St. Jude. Josh is beast mode running. He carries us. Of course, Justin Brother carries us. Destin Hayes tore it up. She was awesome, and the rest of us finished. Of course, I guess that's important. Main thing. Main thing. I think at this point, as far as officiating goes, I put that in the comments. Somebody want to comment? You want to belabor officiating? I'm down with it. It's been rough. The Southeastern Conference. If you go on the road, you might as well expect at least 3. I've just come to it. Like, if something goes to review, you can hang it up. Josh said Georgia opened up 14, a 14-point favorite. I think I'm right reading that right. I'm like I said, I'm not great on the betting thing, so I think that's Georgia's 14-point favorite in that game. So yeah, uh, once again, not promoting betting, but Vegas usually knows something that we don't. So yeah, my hat's off to a Georgia team. I mean, I have a ton of respect for Georgia. They're not really a rival per se. Um, that's absolutely right. There's 4 quarters for teams to make plays. I think that's John again over on TikTok. Um, it's nice. You hear the phrase, it's better be lucky than good sometimes, and that may be true, but you got to be lucky quite a bit in 4 quarters to get the job done, to lose. And so I thought it was a fairly well played game. It was a game full of haymakers in Atlanta, and you just had the feeling that this was a playoff game. Of course, ever since the Texas loss, Alabama has been in playoff mode. Just to be honest, I think they've taken to it. Not everybody can. Not everybody will. Not everybody has that depth. I think that's the difference between the Georgias, uh, the Ohio State, the Crimson Tide. I think Texas is getting on there, and I think Hugh Freeze can get Auburn to that point and get a couple of those schools that got depth. They can lose a player here or there, and still compete. They may not win, but they certainly can compete. Build stockpile 5 stars on the roster. What do you think? I think we should have went 12 teams earlier. I tend to think I'm one of the ones that I think 4 teams waters it down, and 12 is going to be disastrous. If we're not debating Florida State right now, we're going to be debating a 9-3, 8-4 team who should and shouldn't get out. Now, some of you are probably pretty happy about that because that more resembles your team. But I think everybody that's talking head to head should matter. Well, it's going to matter less with a 12-team playoff. And I think college football has the best regular season in all sports, right? And we're quickly trying to kill that. But money is it. Money is it. So, should we have went 12 teams earlier, or is 4 where it's at, or should we go backwards? Once again, I think the BCS should pick the 4. Famous last words are, let's make a committee. Josh Thorne this year would have the perfect year for it. Honestly, 12 teams will have some garbage games, but I love more college football and possible chaos. Yeah, I think this is one of those situations that the 12-team playoff was made for. I do, once again, I have some worry that this is the first time really in how long? It's 2014. Where we've had a situation where you probably can make an argument for eight teams being in. I guess my biggest issue, Josh, is with the automatic qualifiers. Like, we're going to get more of the deserving, they deserve to win, or, this or that, or whatever. And you're going to get every Power 5 school gets their champion in. And I'm not necessarily sure I am for all of that. And I think, you're right. I think this year kind of proves that maybe there's room for more. And yes, I like college football too. So, of course, it'll be more years off of my life because I'm too invested. But I think that's a me problem. Maybe I need to calm down a little bit. Surely that it could never be me. I can never be the problem. I think what you got here, you've got the 4 quarterbacks. You got Jalen Milroe starting with the Crimson Tide. Obviously, a talented guy. Still lots of room to grow, which should be scary, I think, for most people. Not the most polished person. But I will say he seems to know how to close out games. He's running there and he falls down inbounds. The clock keeps running. They have to burn a timeout. That's big. I thought big play in the SEC championship game was making Georgia take 4 downs to score that last touchdown. I mean, any kind of clock you can tick off is good. Josh shares that there will be 2 loss conference champs with first round buys. Yeah. I think I heard on a podcast the other day, I think that 10-2, especially in the SEC, 10-2 is gonna be your new 12-0. Um, there's just and it's gonna be brutal. And then if you've got a somewhat difficult, non-con, Alabama, I think, goes to Wisconsin next year. Man, 10-2 might be the ceiling. I agree. I think this is one of Saban's best coaching jobs, and I certainly think you can make the argument that it is the best. John over on TikTok, I think. I think definitely to rally the troops. I mean, if you would have asked me, if you had a camera on me during the South Florida game, I would have said and did say loudly, "This is a 6-7 win football team." Like, if we play like we played against South Florida, we turn around and replicate that against Ole Miss the next week. Um, you might win 6. We might be a bowl eligible team if we continue to play like we did. So kind of crazy, crazy um, where we are in this whole thing. But man, rally the troops. He did. Anytime Georgia and Alabama gets together, it's going to be a prize fight with body blows. I think that's what you got. Um, but I think once again, you look at the SEC championship game. You've got a banged up Brock Bowers. You've got a banged up McConkey. You've got Alabama didn't have their number one running back. That is going to be the way it is because you add football games, you add these games, and you keep adding these games, and you keep adding these games, and you are going to see less and less of the primary players. You better go. I mean, on the offensive, defensive line for sure. You better go 3 deep. I mean, you got to have depth, and those that have it. I mean, you see that with Florida State. Obviously, quarterback's a different situation. Um, we were to lose Jalen, God forbid, that's going to be an issue. It's going to impact, have a heavy impact. You better be able to go. I think that's one of the big differences for Alabama. I'm fairly certain Michigan, right? I think they lost a starter in the Ohio State game, broke his leg or something. And probably the guy that fell in behind him, is what it is. Ashley Nelson, thank you. We finally get somebody to say it's not right. I don't think it's right. She says, I think Alabama is a lot better than they were when they lost to Texas, but it's basically about the money. Like I already said, Texas versus Alabama rematch is what they want, I think. And Ashley, that's certainly in play. I think it would be wild. Obviously, Michigan's a great football team. They can run the ball, they can throw it, they can play defense. So we will need to mind our P's and Q's. If Alabama's going to win that one, it'll be similar, I think, body blows. And then, I do think right now that Texas beats Washington, and it might not be close. Quarterback play and all, but yeah, I mean, I think everybody, no matter, I won't say everybody because there's always one, but I think most people who love college football and follow it really hurt for the injuries, period, right? I don't want to see anybody get hurt. Certainly not. I did hear somebody, does the University of North Alabama get some national championship credit since Jordan Travis was injured against them? But Will Mahan says he's a big fan of Travis Creasy, and the Lord knows I need a lot of those. I appreciate it, Will. Will was in that room with me last night at the St. Jude Marathon weekend, watching it. Thought we might have to run Destin out of the room there for a little while. I'd pull it off. Braxton Rhodes, Caleb Pupil, Kaylee Bates joined on the TikTok. What do you guys think? You can comment on the TikTok as well. Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? Why or why not? Will Mayan joined in. Whatever you say is what I'll go with. Room 516 for the win. It was live. It was wild in there. Yeah, it We were excited, fired up. I was nervous as a house cat walking back and forth. There's certain things as a former football coach that don't sit well. And I'm always like, oh man, that doesn't that does not bode well for us. It's probably fun and entertaining to watch me. I'm usually a nervous wreck, so don't be like me, kids. Don't be like me. Yeah, room 516 for the win for sure. Let's see, Ben Cooper. I know Ben Cooper who just joined TikTok. He is got plenty of opinions to share on the college football playoff and certainly about officiating. So if you got any officiating gripes, now is the time. I'm not going to correct you. Do what you want. We're just letting all of our feelings hang out. Josh Thorne, imagine driving with two people trying to sleep silently, yelling, let's go at the windshield. I have been there, Josh. Maybe not the sleeping part, but I definitely have been having to control myself in the process for sure. For sure. I listened to the Florida State. Um, I listened to the Florida State at Louisville game. We watched some of it on the way back from Memphis, and it was a struggle. It was a struggle bus. Um, it was bad offensively. I do think that Florida State would have gotten their second stringer back. I think he'll be back for the Georgia game, so that might help them out. So, all right, guys. If you're still on, give me your national championship prediction. Who wins these semifinals? What do you think it comes down to? Will Mahan says the committee wasn't going to let FSU in regardless of the SEC game, ranking them as 3. Makes me believe that Georgia would have still been 1, and then Texas at 4, and Florida State still at 5. Josh Horn, he's taking the limited approach. Bama by 50. um, Ben Cooper says no creativity to his offensive play calling, no motion, no decoys, nothing. Bama versus Texas in the national championship over on TikTok. Eric Cheney says during the Pac 12 game, the commentator said all of these officials would be out of jobs. I recommend they transfer to the SEC. Plenty of opportunities here. Yeah, if I'm going to complain about the officiating, I don't know why. Like the Iron Bowl, like there's plenty of things. We can get into that, and I'm sure Auburn has plenty to say, just like people always do. But that reffing crew that had the 2:30 Iron Bowl, the 2:30 Alabama at Tennessee last year, I don't know how they're still employed, to be honest. It was pretty rough, pretty rough. But yeah, anytime you go on the road to the SEC, it's hard. Used to celebrate road wins like nobody's business. I don't think we give people enough credit on the front end there for winning a game on the road. Period. You go to Oregon and win one of the loudest stadiums in the country. It's difficult to win on the road. Yeah, Ben, I agree on TikTok when it comes to officiating. If you're going to do no calls, then do no calls all game for both teams. And to be honest, if you ask my opinion about the Iron Bowl, the face mask on the thing, yes, that's true. He was blocked in the back. It's going to be offsetting at maybe 2 yard separation. And I told Ben, I said, they're going to make up for this the rest of the game. And sure enough, they did. And I guess as long as it's bad, I've been coaching basketball. This will be my 3rd game this week. And it's kind of like, let it be bad on both ends and we'll all live. But yeah. Ben Cooper adds on TikTok, if you're going to be picky all game for both teams. That's simple. Yep. You're going to let them play. And I thought with the Iron Bowl, they did that. I thought that they let the DBs play all night, the receivers play all night. And so people who were putting the picture of Isaiah Bond pushing off, you can show the picture of the DB grabbing him under the collar. They let them play all night long. And whether I liked it or not, I thought the calls were great. They kind of let them play. And Ben, I think you would agree, just let them play. If you're going to let them play, and we'll roll with it. Ben jumps in. I think Texas over Washington, and I don't want to pick the other game. That's okay, Ben. We got our Facebook bowl pick'em, Facebook Live bowl pick'em coming up sooner rather than later. So it'll be all right. Josh Thorne says, I wish I could be so bad at my job and still keep it. I would have zero stress being an official. Jeff Tavener says Alabama over the Michigan Wolverines. And there you go. Ashley Nelson, our marriage barely survived the Iron Bowl. Let's stop reliving that. Amen, Ashley. I'm still not sure anybody won the Iron Bowl, right? I mean, I guess Alabama did on the scoreboard, but the years I lost off of my heart did not help. Jeff Tavener says he's not sure about the other. Wesley Cook joins the conversation. It's a good thing Bama has the deep pocket, or they wouldn't be in the playoffs. Yeah. Yeah, because their NILs wouldn't work. So, yeah, I get it. Cooper said, Ben Cooper on TikTok says, I think they should always let them play it out. To be honest, no one knows what pass interference is anymore. Oh, yeah. I mean, for sure. Like, I agree. I agree. Yeah, Caleb, smooth shaved with the burns on YouTube. Yeah, I shaved the face so I could wear the Spider-Man mask. Ran the 5K Spider-Man. It was great. A lot of pictures out there floating of me with a mask with people have no idea who I am. But yeah, I hadn't been this since 2020. Shaved it during the pandemic, and it'll be back as soon as I possibly can let it be back. Well, we'll start to close this thing down. We'll take predictions. Oh yeah, Ben Cooper on TikTok says, real question, is Archie Manning going to get any playing time? I guess that's Ben saying Texas is going to roll the Huskies. Is that your prediction, Ben? Maybe so. And take a few more. We'll go another minute and 15 seconds. You guys got any predictions? Funny, serious, whatever on the playoffs? Like I said, we'll be back with our Bowl Pick'em Facebook Live, and we'll take your predictions then. We'll have our Bowl Pick'em fantasy football group, and we hope you join us for that. Triple J 227 says Bama has no business being in the playoff. Bama has no business being in the playoffs. Ben Cooper over on TikTok says, oh, yeah, LOL, it ain't going to be close. Bama obliterates Michigan. Texas dismantles Washington. So Ben Cooper says it'll be the Tide in Texas playing in Houston. Caleb Sampson says he's afraid Michigan is going to shock a lot of folks with their level of play. I think that could be true, Caleb. I think they're kind of a throwback with some, mixed in concepts. They're going to load up. They're going to try to play bully ball. I think it would look similar to Georgia. Probably not the same level of speed or athleticism, but certainly close. Ben Cooper says 2009 rematch. Yeah, we may get a reboot, right? Like, Texas may get to do it all over again. Josh Thorne says Bama beats the 29 straight week number one team. Don't know if there is a better win, period. It's a good point. Well, that's going to do it for us on this Sunday Nighter. This is our live version of the good old-fashioned Dislike podcast. Be sure to join us every Monday morning. This will be in podcast form available. You can go back, check out everybody's thoughts. Ashley Nelson hits us with a roll tide. That's all. That's a great way to end it, Ashley. Can't go wrong, in my opinion, with a roll tide. And so, yeah, thanks everybody for joining, and we hope to see you soon. Make sure to make plans to be with us for our bowl pick, and we'd love to get your comments. And check out benandtravis.com and get some good old-fashioned Dislike Football podcast every Monday. You get the Friday refresh every other Friday, and the Helping Healing Humor. Be sure to check out the St. Jude wrap-up coming out this Tuesday on your favorite podcast provider, and we will talk to you later. Thanks again.